Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie and welcome back to Disc Junkie's Bikes. Today we're gonna keep working on the Blank Diablo BMX that I picked up just a little while ago. And in case you didn't watch the first video, be sure to go back and do that for a bit of a history as to how I actually came to acquire this bike, because it's actually quite a weird, set of coincidences. But in any case, let's just go ahead and flip the camera so we can take a look at this bike once again. Now, like I did mention in the previous video, we do need to replace the seat post as well as repair one of the spokes that's broken on the front wheel. And like I mentioned in the previous video, just show you once again, this is the saddle or the seat and the seat post that came with it. This is the original ones. This is quite a short seat post, and it's also a seat which is non-pivotable. So this is fixed, and I don't think you can actually replace this. You might be able to do so. I mean, if you want to pull out the original pipe and replace with a longer pipe, I guess you maybe could, but I don't think you're meant to. Like, I think this might actually be sort of molded into the seat. Like, I don't really know if this is supposed to come out. Plus, I don't really feel a need to reuse the seat, seeing as it does have a little bit of damage to it. I mean, it would be nice to keep the original logo, but like you can see, there is actually a bit of a damage to the seat there. So I think I'm just going to keep this, and sort of, in case I decide to sell this bike at some point, I'll still have the original seat to go with it. But for today, we are going to replace this, and I've actually picked up some stuff for this process. So first up, we have a bike seat, which was actually secondhand, or it was actually a freebie, which I found at a local car boot sale. This is obviously not a very good seat. It's actually quite a bit of a budget brand, but I still decided to grab this because it was completely free. And it does also have the rail system on the bottom side. So this is completely different to the old bike seat. And this is also, I think, a much more classic design for a bike seat. I think this is much more common, and it's also really simple to use. You just need to pick up some of these little sort of seat clamps, I suppose you could call them. So that's going to mount on there, kind of like so, sort of hooking onto the rails there. And then I've also picked up this, which is a 40 centimeter long bike seat post. Now, this is in chrome, and I kind of wanted to go with a black one, so maybe I will spray paint this later on. I haven't really decided, but I also realized that, the handlebars are actually in chrome, so this might not look too bad, even if it doesn't go with the rest of the mainframe, so to speak. Now, what I want to mention is that this is a 40 centimeter seat post. This is not too common, and it took me quite a while to find this particular style of seat post for this specific dimension. And if you do remember, this dimension is actually a bit odd. This is something called, I don't know if we have this, I think it was marked on the seat. Yeah, all right, so here it is. The diameter for this is essentially 25.4, so that is 25.4 millimeters. So for BMX bike, this is essentially a standard, like I think the 25.4 millimeter is like your standard diameter for BMX. But in terms of finding a seat post which is actually this long, this is a bit more uncommon. I mean, if you're looking at like a regular bike, this wouldn't have been especially long at all. But when we're talking about BMX bike and you want to find this specific diameter, I don't think you're going to be finding something that's longer than this. I think this is actually quite an unusual size. I'm sure there are sort of custom-made ones, but your usual sort of standard for BMX seat post would probably be something like 30 centimeter more likely. And this whole mounting system is actually really easy, so I don't even think I need to show you like the sort of detailed process to do this. So the seat post is on there, and I really had to sort of maximize the height of it in order to make the bike fairly rideable. I mean, I know this is like a trick bike. I know it's not really meant for cruising, but I really want to try it out with a high seat post just to see if this was even usable. And I gotta say, it's, it looks really fun. I just took it out for a quick test spin because I want to see how the height felt. And I'm really quite enjoying it. We're gonna get back to riding it a little bit more. But before that, we are going to repair the broken spoke on the front wheel. Let's see where that was. It's hiding from me. Okay, there it is. So I got a single spoke here, which is broken off. and we are going to replace that with a new one. It's actually not brand new, but as mentioned in the previous video, I did actually receive a free spoke from one of my neighbors who sort of works with like some servicing of bikes during his spare time. So this is actually a black one, you know, it's got a bit of wear, a bit of rust on it, doesn't really matter, it looks fine. So I'm gonna replace the broken spoke with this one. I'm gonna reuse the little sort of mounting point, or the sort of lug nut portion. I don't know what these are called, but just little thing sticking out there. We're gonna reuse that. I do have a silvery one here that came with the spoke that I got, but I'm gonna reuse the black because it looks better, as long as this is the same dimension, but I'm pretty sure it is. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. But before anything else, we do need to flip the bike upside down. I mean, you don't have to do this, but definitely think that it will be easier to gain access to the spokes. And now I realize that my space in here is absolutely terrible, so this might not have been the best placement, and my God, okay, sorry, that was really poorly executed. But now the bike is upside down, and it's also part of why I wanted to mount the seat first, because now I have much more stable positioning of the bike, seeing as I actually have something to rest it on. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and check out the front wheel, and here is that broken little spoke I was mentioning. So the first thing you will need to do is obviously to drain some air out, and I mean, this is fairly simple. So I got some of these blue little valve caps here, which I gotta say I'm not super excited about, so I'm pretty sure I will replace these with something else. I'm sure they are fine in terms of quality, but I just didn't feel too happy about the design or the blue color. Looks like these are probably some kind of brand. I don't know what that is. I don't know if these are original. I doubt it, because it looks really odd just having the blue ones on there. So let's just go ahead and bring some air out of this as such. Yeah, this is gonna take a little bit, so just give me a moment to set this up. All right, so now that the air is out, I actually have quite a soft tire, and so I'm gonna move this to the place where we have the broken spoke, and I thought I would actually just open the tire a little bit like this, and I'm hoping I can just peel that back, because I can already see the back side of the little spoke there. So just gonna take a bit of a screwdriver. We're gonna see if I can position this to actually show you. So here we got the tire, and then just moving this to the side, there you can essentially see the thing that we want to get at. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring in a screwdriver, and I'm gonna peel the thing back here. I'm hoping I can do this. I mean, I can do it, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be as simple as I thought. So maybe this is actually glued down, or I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it is glued down a little bit, but it's not like it's glued down hard. Okay, so now I've actually accessed that. Not sure if you can see that, but it's in there. It's a little bit hard to show on camera because I'm not having the best lighting here, and I'm sorry about that, but you know what, I can probably just push it out as soon as I get access to it. So there it is. It just comes through here. So okay, there we go. So there's that broken spoke, and now we're gonna replace it. So just give me a moment to unscrew that little end piece, and then we're gonna bring out our new spoke. And the thing is that we are gonna need to thread this through the wheel. So just come with me right over here, and you'll see that we essentially have a hole somewhere. Trying to see where that hole is. There should be a hole somewhere. Otherwise, it's a big mystery. All right, so there is that empty hole. Had a bit of a hard time finding it. So that's there, and then we need to figure out where the spoke's supposed to go. So the spoke should go through that hole, and presumably on the outside, because you see that we have every other spoke is going inwards or outwards. So the one we're missing right there, that's gonna go on this side, on the outside. So just gonna bring my spoke in, and then we're gonna see how we're gonna thread this through the hole. Should go that way, yeah. And I've honestly never done this before, so this is probably a bit of a technique which I don't really have yet, but I mean, shouldn't be too hard, but you probably need to find just the right angle. Okay, there it is. Yeah, you really need to get in there and find a specific space where you can thread it through. So yeah, it's definitely sort of like millimeter precision getting it in there. It's okay, so I'm just gonna nudge that through like so. All right, so now we got that in there, which looks correct. Now the question becomes, where does it go after that? Now we're gonna go all the way over here. And so at this point, I also want to make sure how they are, you know, intertwined, because as you can see, they really go in a specific way. So I would think that this should go on the inside of the one next to it. So probably on the inside of that, I think. Does that make sense? Yeah, because if I just run it like this, you can see that it's quite a, you know, far away. It's standing out way too much. So yeah, it would definitely need to go on the inside of that spoke. So yeah, I suppose I have to bend it into that position. I just want to make sure that I'm thinking about this right way. Oh, so just give me a minute to make sure that this is correct. All right, so it took me a bit of a time to figure out, because you really need to sort of pay attention as to how the spokes are interlaced. But if you just have one spoke to replace, it's going to be fairly easy. You just need to sort of check the spoke next to it and sort of make sure that you get like this typical sort of star shape, that it looks the right way. So it's fairly easy to see if it looks correct if you just spin it afterwards, and you'll see like if there's a break in the pattern or something. But yeah, I mean, I would advise you that if you have a lot of spokes that are going to be replaced, you should probably leave this into like a, you know, bike repair shop, because if it's just a single spoke, I don't think it really matters, because then you can just, you know, make it go where it wants to go. You tighten it as much as it feels like it should be tightened. But if you have a lot of spokes that are missing, then you will probably need to sort of rebalance the entire wheel, because that's sort of part of what the spokes are doing. Like, they tighten the wheel to make it straight, but if there's a lot of spokes missing and you need to do this manually, it can make the wheel a bit wobbly, I think. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I would definitely advise you not to sort of do this on too many spokes at a time. If you just have one, I'm sure it's easy to fix like I did. Now, I did actually get this in there. It was fairly simple, but it did require a bit of sort of, you know, just more work than I thought, and it wasn't so suited for camera. But I did get it in there. I did bring up some air into the wheel, so now I can spin it. Now, I will say that this wheel is a little bit wobbly, as you can see, maybe. You know, it moves a little bit back and forth. But then again, this is a BMX bike. I'm sure it's been through the mill, probably gotten dinged a few times. So, I mean, to me, it feels pretty fine. So, yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to take this out for a spin. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and check it out. So that worked really well. I'm really loving this. It's a really fun bike. I don't know if I will use it for everyday cruising, but it's definitely a very, very fun ride. So yeah, I can really recommend bringing in a higher seat post, replacing the saddle, and I even made like a little temporary ram mounts camera rig that I just put together. So in case you're curious about this, I essentially just mounted some very ram mount sort of phone holder, and then I got a large ram mount sort of pole that I think I made myself, and then just a bit of a ram mount base clip or whatever that's called, just mounted to the base of the bike. So yeah, quite an odd construction, but it worked really well for just shooting this little sequence. But I think that's it from me today. I hope you're really enjoying this little series. I'm not sure where we're gonna take it, but yeah, I will definitely want to make some minor changes to this bike from this point on. And whether or not I pick up a secondary BMX, a large size BMX, I don't really know. But yeah, this is gonna be a really fun project, so I hope you'll stick with it. But that's it. I want to say thank you very much for watching, and as usual, hope to see you all next time.